All right, now we get on to Tyler Perry. I mean, because again, they're desperate. They don't know where they're gonna live. They don't know what they're gonna do. They don't have any money. They're just a couple of poor paupers, absolute proletariats. And he says that they were having a chat with Tyler Perry, as one does. Pick up that phone and call all your famous friends. Elton John, can we come for vacation? Tyler Perry, you got a house we can stay at? Anyway, they're talking to Tyler Perry. And apparently, and this is why I say I think this was sort of a mutually manipulative relationship. Apparently, right before the wedding, he had sent a note out of the blue, in Harry's own words, telling Meg that she wasn't alone and that he saw what was happening. Well, how interesting that he should see what's happening when nobody else did. He says now they FaceTimed, and Meg and Harry were trying to put on a brave face. Brave little soldiers. But they were both just, honestly, a hot mess. I mean, you can't really hide that kind of pain. And Tyler says that he saw in their eyes how hard things were for them. So he asked, what's up? Well, since you asked, we don't have security, and we don't have anywhere to go, and we're just so poor, and we can't afford anything, and we have baby. We're being cast out, and we have a child. How's he gonna get new shoes? And anyway, so he says, whoa, okay, that's a lot. Just breathe. It's gonna be okay. And Harry writes, that was the problem. We couldn't breathe. And he's like, look, take my house. Okay, at this point, if I just got finished like unloading on someone and then they were like, here, take my house, I would be so embarrassed. I'd be like, okay, well, I'm not a charity case. Like, I just would feel like I would never say yes to that. First of all, would any of us sit there with millions in our pockets and be like, we're just so poor? But, I mean, so that reality is so startling. It's like, they're not destitute. So for them to be over there trying to gain sympathy from people when everybody knows, I mean, they're not exactly scraping the bottom of the missionary barrel trying to find something to eat or to clothe themselves with. How exactly do they think that, like, how do they think that they're going to genuinely receive sympathy from people when we all know the state that they're in? Maybe they don't have as much money as they wish they did. Maybe they don't have as much money as maybe their, celebrity neighbors who have active projects going on that will continue to pay them. But they are by no means without some kind of resource in this world. If they wanted to live a nice, normal life, like with a normal sized house and a normal, like, they could have made that money last to infinity and beyond. But they want to live like kings. And I mean, you don't have the money for that, but you have enough money to live a very comfortable life. And you have enough connections that you should really be okay. Okay, but anyway, after they get done complaining to him, and then he offers them his house. What? They want your house? And he says, yeah, my house in Los Angeles. It's gated, it's secure. You'll be safe there. I'll keep you safe. Oh, these stupid, okay, sorry, you guys, all right. I'm out in the garden shed. Do you see these crane flies? They love the light, okay? So I'm sorry, I'm not feeling, there's bugs flying around. Yeah, there are, it's called the garden shed. The lawnmower's over there, my bike's over there, tool shed's over there, and the flies are everywhere. Okay, anyway. So he says, I'll keep you safe. So now Harry's not even being able to do the one thing he promised Meghan he'd do. But they say, and this cracked me up, he says he's going to be traveling a lot, he's working on a project, so the house is empty, and it's just waiting for them. It's too much. It's too generous. But we accepted, eagerly. Of course they did. Nobody expects that these two freeloaders would have done otherwise. And I asked him, why are you doing this? And he responds, your mother. In some ways, I almost feel sorry for Harry, because it's such an obvious wound for people to just manipulate him with. And I just don't like that. I don't like that. I don't think that Tyler Perry comes off especially wonderful in this passage. And I don't, surely, after the generosity that he has offered, what manipulative or otherwise, why would Harry try to throw him under the bus? But I don't think he comes off well. Like, out of the blue, he just wrote us, and, you know, it's almost like he was looking for an invitation to the wedding, and then he offers them his home. And, I mean, that is extraordinarily generous. But why would he do that? Why would you do that? Like, what? If not, like, these people are strangers to him. If he didn't know them well enough that they hadn't debriefed him yet on their horrible crisis, to, like, in their mind, what the horrible crisis was, so that he felt that he had to ask, you know, what's going on with you guys? Then that indicates to me that he didn't really know them, because if he talked to them for any length of time, it would have been well documented to him already, like, what their problems were. But anyway, he says he's going to do this for Harry because of Harry's mother. What? My mother? Tyler Perry says, yeah, my mother loved your mother. And Harry's caught completely by surprise. And he says that, Tyler Perry says that after Diana had visited Harlem, you know, that was it for his mom. Diana could do no wrong in Maxine Perry's book. And he went on to say, sadly, that his own mother had died 10 years earlier and he was still grieving. Well, I wanted to tell him that it gets easier, but I didn't. Well, perhaps you could tell yourself that. So he says that when they finally get to the house, the place is like Xanadu. High ceilings, priceless art, beautiful swimming pool, palatial is what it was. But above all, it was ultra safe. And this is the thing that blows my mind. It came with security, paid for by Tyler. How are these people not colossally embarrassed to be sponging off of this man when they act, you know, it's like they are not destitute. This isn't a couple of homeless people off the street who had no other recourse in life. Why are they acting like they're this charity case that needs this kind of financial assistance and to this level? Like, how could you ever let anybody pay this kind of stuff for your life? I don't think that it's pride. I don't think that it's me being, you know, I'm too prideful to accept these handouts. That's just an insane abuse of somebody to be like, I'm going to use your home and your security. I mean, there's no plans of paying him back. There's no kind of, like, what is he getting out of this relationship? I just can't imagine anybody doing this just out of the pure kindness of their hearts for a couple of people who don't really need it. You know what I'm saying? Like, they could afford to have their own home. Maybe not the home of their dreams, but they could afford to buy and to purchase and to live in a place that was acceptable. Even if you were like, I've got to get a condo so I can afford security, if that's the highest thing on my list, I'm going to do that. I'm not looking for a handout. And this is why I think Harry really couldn't understand why the British people couldn't fund his lifestyle, because he's willing to take a handout from a near stranger. And he's not embarrassed by that. So he doesn't seem like he even possessed the ability to be embarrassed that he was sponging off the British people and being like, why won't you support me with all your tax dollars? Okay, so anyway, then this story is so dumb, I cannot even. And by the way, this is the beginning of multiple stories that are just like, this is how you wanted to end the book? I mean, it's wild, 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 wild story from here on out. And just stupid stories. Anyway, he says that they, you know, spent March of 2020. By the way, it's a pandemic, but, you know, the rest of us are suffering in our tiny little homes and we can't, you know, darken the doorstep of. But they are over here at Tyler Perry's palatial mansion. By the way, it was during COVID. How was he traveling and working on a project? Is that, to me, I was like, why is Tyler Perry not in his home? The rest of us are in our home. How is he working on a project during the pandemic? The rest of us weren't allowed to go anywhere. So it doesn't add up to me. This whole story is weird to me. Why did he give them his home? I don't get that. But he gives them the home. They are over there trying to get their bearings. There's halls, there's wardrobes, there's bedrooms. There's no end to the spaces to be discovered. And little niches for Archie to hide, so they're constantly looking for the baby. Meg introduced him to everything. Look at the statue. Look at this fountain. Look at this hummingbird in the garden. In the front room was a painting that Archie found especially interesting. Apparently, the child started every day by coming out of his room and looking at it. Oh, the child's an infant, but all right. And it's a scene from ancient Rome. And nobody could figure out why he was so drawn to this. No clue. But, you know, within a week, they had just really made themselves comfortable in Tyler's house. Archie took his first steps in the garden a couple of months later. at the height of the global pandemic lockdown. You know, they all clapped and cheered for him. And he thinks, you know, how nice it would be to have shared that news with Grandpa or Uncle Willie. You got your phone. I'm sure you even got his first steps on video. Send them the video. Why can't you? Why are you always acting like a victim? Okay, now we come back to that dumb painting. You guys, I cannot even. He says not long after those first steps, Archie was marching up to his favorite painting in the front hall. He stared at it, made a gurgle of recognition. A gurgle of recognition? What was he recognizing? You can only imagine. Meg leaned in for a closer look. She noticed for the first time a nameplate on the frame. How could you not notice that? The first time, like they're so wondering, like, why is our kid continue to stare at this painting? Wouldn't you look at it? If you're that consumed with why the kid's consumed with the painting, wouldn't you study it? Anyway, for the first time, they noticed a nameplate on the frame. Who could it be of? Oh, the goddess of the hunt, Diana. It's so saccharine. What is this like? Oh, it's all beautifully coming in full circle. Our child is recognizing Diana, you know, the goddess of the hunt, Diana, just like Mummy, who was hunted also. He says they told Tyler, and he said he hadn't even known about that painting. He'd completely forgotten it was even there. Imagine the wealth of not even remembering what's hanging on your walls. But Tyler says, gives me chills. And Harry's like, me too. And that's what I'm saying. That is such a manipulative thing. Like, he can see that they're like really all excited about this connection. And he's like, yeah, it gives me chills. Like, I just feel like he is like also feeding into this whole like manipulative Diana, you know, let's keep bringing her in. Let's keep like ruminating and you know, marinating in the emotion of loss. It's like, I don't know why he's doing that. I don't know why he is trying to sort of ingratiate himself with the Diana memory, to sort of bring himself into the royal fold. I don't think he comes off well in this book at all.